Have you ever tried to tell a story about something that happened years ago and you just find yourself struggling to get it right? Well, that's what we're diving into today. This whole art of looking back and figuring out how we actually build the stories of our own past. And it really all starts with a fundamental truth. Like the folks at Sinako said, storytelling has been a cornerstone of human communication forever. It's not just some random thing we do, it's baked into who we are as people. Wait, just think about it for a second. The past isn't a neat timeline, right? It's a messy, chaotic jumble of events, feelings, and memories. So the real question is, how on earth do we take all that chaos and weave it into a story that actually makes sense? Well, it turns out it's this really fascinating mix of things. It's not just about what you can remember, it's about the very words you use, the grammar. It's about the culture that gives those words their meaning. And then there's something even bigger, the power a story has to actually shape reality itself. So, let's start our journey with the absolute basics. Really, just how we talk about what happened yesterday. And that brings us right to the storyteller's most essential toolkit, the grammar of the past. Honestly, getting this part right is the very first step to telling any clear story. And check this out. What this data shows is pretty fascinating. A study of English language learners found that their biggest mistake wasn't leaving words out or mixing up the order. Nope. A massive 73.3% of their errors came from something called misformation. That's just using the wrong form of a word. It's a huge reminder of how easily the story of the past can get twisted with just one tiny slip-up. And here's exactly what that looks like in the real world. A student might write, "We go to Singapore," when they're talking about a trip they took last year. But what they mean to say, of course, is, "We went to Singapore." It's such a small change in the verb, but it makes all the difference in placing that event firmly in the past. That's the heart of that misformation error we were just looking at. So, to fix this, you need the right tools in your toolkit, and the first one is the simple past tense. This is for actions that were finished at a specific time. Think of it like the foundational brick you use to build the wall of your story. For example, last year, I attended a conference. I networked with leaders and expanded my knowledge. See how that flows? It's one finished event, followed by another, then another. It gives you a clean, chronological story of things that are totally done and dusted. Okay, but what if you want to add a little more, texture? That is where the past progressive comes in. This tense describes something that was ongoing, that was in progress at a certain point. It lets you zoom in on a moment and really paint a picture of a scene. So instead of just listing off things that are finished, you get this. While I was participating in the workshop, my colleagues were engaging in discussions. It just creates this vivid moment in time. You can almost see it, can't you? The action is happening. It's alive. It's not just a fact anymore. It's a whole scene. All right, now for our final grammatical tool. And this one is absolutely essential for telling more complex stories. The past perfect. You use this to talk about an action that happened before another past action. It's all about making the sequence of events totally clear. For instance, by the time I joined the company, my predecessor had already laid the groundwork. See, you've got two past events, joining the company and the predecessor doing their work. The past perfect, that had already laid, makes it crystal clear which one happened first. This is the key to not having a confusing timeline. But look, mastering the rules is really only half the battle. To get truly fluent in telling stories of the past, you have to go beyond just the grammar and start exploring the human element of it all. This idea is just captured so perfectly by a language learner over on Reddit. User Kiwiya wrote, "You can't study to native-like proficiency in isolation. It becomes about communicating in a natural way." And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? True fluency is about immersion. It's about connection, not just correction. And this is exactly why that immersion is so important. Just take a look at idioms like beat around the bush or spill the beans. You can't figure these out by translating them word for word. They're like these little packets of cultural knowledge, and you only really get them by being part of the conversation, part of the culture that made them. This next quote really drives that point home. Another Reddit user said that after being totally immersed in English, when they went back to their home country, their native Dutch actually felt rusty. People even started talking to them more slowly. This just shows how deeply language and immersion can rewire our brains. It's not just about learning new things, it can literally change your relationship with your own native language. And this brings us to what might be the most profound idea of all. We've seen how grammar and culture give us the tools to tell stories, but what if those stories don't just describe reality? What if they actually create it? This is the incredible power of narrative. An article from Number Analytics breaks it down into this simple but incredibly powerful flow. First, a story gets told. That narrative then starts to shape what we all collectively remember. That's what we call cultural memory. This shared memory then creates our understanding of history, and ultimately, that shared history tells us who we are right now and who we're going to become. It's like a chain reaction, and it all starts with just one story. So if stories actually shape our memory, that leads to a huge implication. The past isn't some fixed, settled thing just sitting there. No, it's a territory. It's a place that can be fought over. And this is the battle for the past. Now, this battle often comes down to two competing forces. On one side, you've got your dominant narratives. These are the official stories that shape how a whole culture remembers its past, and they often push other versions out of the picture. But then, on the other side, you have counter-narratives. These are the stories from other groups that challenge that official version and offer a totally different perspective. And that's what brings everything together. The stories that we tell, the ones we share, and the ones we accept as a society, they aren't just entertainment. They are the very building blocks of our collective identity and our shared understanding of what is true. Which leads us to one final thought. If our stories really do define our past, and our past defines who we are, well, what story will you choose to tell?